All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being with us tonight. I'd like to go ahead and call the Winton Woods City School Board meeting to order. It is 6:30 p.m. on Monday, September 26, 2016. I would like to ask all of you to please silent your electronic devices and/or turn them to vibrate. That would be greatly appreciated. And Mr. Seymour, would you please call the roll? Oh, I'm sorry. First, we're going to pledge the allegiance, so please rise with me. And flags over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Now, Mr. Seymour, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Mr. Birdie?
Present.
Dr. Johnson?
Present.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Here.
Mrs. Ruggless?
Here.
Mrs. Miranda?
Present. Our first item on the agenda this evening is our district honors, recognitions, gifts, and introductions. Mr. Superintendent, you have the floor.
Yes, Madam President and Board. The first student that I'd like to recognize is Aria Gaines. Come on up. Sit at the podium so I can read all this fantastic stuff about you. All right. So, Winton Woods Aria Gaines is September Skyline Student Athlete of the Month. Sophomore Aria Gaines was named Winton Woods City Schools Skyline Student Athlete of the Month for September. Gaines participates in both volleyball and girls basketball and takes honors classes at the high school. She maintains an overall weighted GPA of 4.0 and is ranked 9 out of 253 students in her class. To be nominated for Skyline Student Athlete of the Month, students must maintain an academic standard of 3.0, show respect for coaches, teammates, officials, teachers, other students, and family, show enthusiasm and a positive attitude, display commitment to practice games and personal skill development, demonstrate honesty in playing by the rules, have high moral character. Aria is very, very selfless player, said Mike Walker, Winton Woods High School volleyball coach. She takes great pride in playing or doing any little intangible she needs to do. Even though she's 6'1", she works to make her teammates the focus of the play instead of herself. The Skyline Student Athlete of the Month award is sponsored by the Forest Park Skyline, a business partner of Winton Woods City Schools. Student athletes receive a $20 Skyline gift card. And here is our Student Athlete of the Month, Miss Aria Gaines. You want to say anything?
I just want to say that I'm honored to earn this award because I take my sports and school very seriously, and I'm just really excited that I got to get this.
Is there anyone out there that believes Aria is going to be standing up in front of other podiums in the future? How many people believe that they will? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I remember when I was 6'1", and it was just before I became the superintendent. Yes, ma'am. All right, our next recipient, Skyline Teacher of the Month, Miss Denise Davenport. Ready?
Sure.
Yes. As the department facilitator for the Special Education Department at Winton Woods High School, Ms. Davenport has taken on additional roles in helping to improve the transition services for special needs students. These efforts are recognized this month as Ms. Davenport was chosen as the District Skyline Teacher of the Month for September. She is a strong advocate for all students, but has a big heart for students with special needs and seeks any opportunity to better the experience for our special needs students, said Amber Strausser, assistant principal of the school. She is also a part of the team that worked to create a new tech academy at the high school and was an early proponent and adopter of project-based learning and the new tech model throughout the school. She serves as a junior class advisor and has planned a successful prom for many years. To be nominated for the Skyline Teacher of the Month, teachers must demonstrate excellence in the classroom, motivation by encouraging and motivating students, leadership by having a positive attitude, creativity and imagination, dedication, and finally communication. Denise is a valuable member of the Warrior team and works to ensure all students achieve their highest potential. The Skyline Teacher of the Month Award is sponsored by the Forest Park Skyline, a business partner of Winton Woods City Schools. Teachers honored receive a $30 Skyline gift card. Our Teacher of the Month, Miss Denise Davenport.
Thank you. I wasn't prepared to speak.
That's all right.
Thank you, Ms. Strasser, for nominating me. And you know you don't do anything without your team. And we have a very strong team here at the high school, and we work very well together. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you. All right. Is Mr. Luke Johnson here? Luke. We'll save it because Luke may come in. So we'll come back to Luke. If Luke's not here by the time I finish up, I'll tell you a little bit about Luke anyway. What about Leland Dearborn?
Yes.
I knew that was you. So Leland Dearborn receives the Gold Star Kiwanis Student of the Month Award. Leland Dearborn is a brand new student to the Winton Woods School District. During her short time here, she has already established herself as a school leader and academic scholar. Leland came to Cincinnati to escape a very difficult situation, and she has been very motivated not to fail. Instead, though, she is highly motivated to be an outstanding student both in her studies and her example of others. Since coming here, she's maintained an AB average, joined the marching band, started working out with the basketball team, and she is on the homecoming court. On top of that, I've witnessed on numerous occasions her positive attitude when interacting with others, making others feel welcome and also accepted. More than once, she has stopped in my office while I've had an upset student in there, and she was able to reach out and make them feel better. I really cannot say enough positive things about Leland Dearborn. In less than 2 months, she has already established herself as a tremendous asset to the Warrior community. There is no student more deserving of being this month's Student of the Month. This is from Mr. Brad Tash, the counselor, and our Gold Star Kiwanis Student of the Month, Miss Leland Dearborn.
As president of the Green Hills Forest Park Kiwanis, it's my honor to be here tonight to hand out this award to Leland. This award is presented to her in special recognition of her selection as Gold Star Kiwanis Student of the Month for September for the Winton Woods High School for her outstanding academic achievement, enthusiasm, and commitment to service in the community and the district. Also, let me add that in addition to this award, there is also a little monetary award attached to that. So I want to thank you, Ms. Lee.
Thank you very much.
Keep up the good work. Hold on to that till
You don't want to say anything? Yeah, there we go.
It's a great honor to receive this award, and I just want to thank my moms for all their love and support through school and everything else. And I'm thankful to be at a school that has great teachers and also great principals to help me through everything. Thank you.
Bravo. Okay, next award. Ohio Music Educators Association OEMA All-State Choir. So, Jayshawn Johnson, Joseph Mayer, and Carrie Sullivan. Are you here tonight? Come on up. Now, who's missing? Joseph? All right. I was going to ask you guys to do a song. Your member is not here. I can step in if you need me to. Not this time? Okay, thank you. All right. 3 Winton Woods High School varsity ensemble members auditioned for and were accepted to the Ohio Music Education Association All-State Choir. Whoa. Jashawn Johnson, Joseph Mayer, both baritones, and the lovely Carrie Sullivan, soprano, were among the hundreds of students who sent in auditions recordings where they sang scales to show vocal range and sang a classical piece from the OMA required list. Winton Woods High School Director of Course, Joe Waitley, said, "We are excited because all of our students who auditioned were accepted. We're hoping with the addition of the grant money given to the music department this year by the Winton Woods Educational Foundation that we'll have many more students audition for next year's All-State Choir." Johnson, Mayer, and Sullivan will perform at the February OMEA Professional Development Conference in Cleveland. Bravo.
All right. I like to sing. You like to sing? We like to sing. It's what we do, and so this is a really fun opportunity for us. Thanks.
When I first signed up for OMEA, I wasn't even aware that there was gonna be a whole this for. I was just focused on improving myself musically as much as I could. So thank you very much.
You know, one thing that's really amazing, our young people are very, very poised about getting up and accepting awards graciously. So I know that takes a lot of work from parents and teachers to get them prepared for that. You don't just take it for granted. So thank you, everybody who gets them ready for the next part of it. This next young man is incredible, all right? The middle school participant of College Credit Plus. Nico Lantonio Pretacito. Come on up. Now this one will sound like a dissertation. It's long. But he is such a powerful young man, so I'm going to read every word. Over the past summer, Mr. Pretacito would walk into his 1 o'clock class at Miami University in Hamilton carrying a folding step stool like a briefcase. He would pop it open under his desk, take a seat, and put his feet up. At 4 feet 8, Nico needed the extra support. He was tired of sitting in 2 tall chairs that caused his feet to dangle in the air during the 3.5-hour class he was taking from Dr. Lisa Szursliska. At 11 years old, Nico, who is an 8th grader at Winton Woods Middle School this year, was the youngest Miami student has ever had. Ever. What's more, he earned the class highest score on the final exam in her Geography 101 Global Forces Local Diversity class. Highest score, Winton Woods kid. Nico attended Miami Hamilton over the summer with his sister Versa, now a junior at Winton Woods High School, who ended up outscoring him in the class with a final grade of 97.4 to his 96.8. I wasn't supposed to read that, but I had to read it. Is that okay? Okay. It was really interesting work, and I learned a lot about different countries and cultures. Nico said of the class, it was hard writing college essays, but I liked being with college students because it was more challenging. Nico said his favorite assignment was the end of the course project. My topic was Italy, and I had to do a PowerPoint and a 50-minute presentation in front of the class, which was scary, he said, but I made it through it. And of course, I got an A. Both Nico and Aversa attend Miami University as part of the College Credit Plus, a state program that allows students to earn college and high school credits at the same time by taking college courses from community colleges or universities. To be accepted, Nico had to pass the same admissions test as incoming freshman. According to his mom, Tina, Nico passed with flying colors. The qualifying score on the reading compass test was 81, and he scored a 93. The qualifying score on the writing compass test was a 69, and he scored a 99. Then he had to take a separate math test to qualify for pre-calculus in order to take classes in the math department. With some coaching from his sister and mom in geometry and trigonometry, Nico did that too, even though he's only had Algebra 2 at school. Oh, by the way, Winton Wood School. When asked what class he'd like to take next, Nico said, I like to take pre-calculus. I tested into it, but my parents say I have to take geometry and Algebra 2 before I take pre-calculus, even though Miami says I can take it right now, based on my math scores. Mrs. Prentecito said the past summer at Miami University has been a learning experience for her too, as she's seeing both her children thrive in an environment meant for older students. I was nervous the very first day I walked Adversa and Nico to their classroom and watched them walk in, she says. As I was walking away, the professor came and asked, are these children in my class? When I said yes, she asked if they were in middle school, and I said, my son, but my daughter's in high school. Now, how many of you have ever walked your child to the college door? That's an experience in itself. The professor then asked if I was leaving them. When I told her I was, I'd rather you stayed close by because I don't know if the little boy will last the entire class. You do know it's a 3.5-hour lecture. I said I knew. And I said I would stay working on my laptop if she needed. At the end of the class, the professor came out and told me how impressed she was with Nico, that he paid attention and was engaged the entire class. Both of the Prentecitos had a positive impact on their professor. At the end of the course, Dr. Shervinska said she was very impressed with both Adversa and Nico. Even though she had her doubts when she first saw Nico, he ended up really surprising her and how well he did. Nico said that all his college work was hard, but added, that's why I liked it. I enjoyed that it was challenging work and that I got college credit for it. Nico wasn't able to fit college classes into his fall schedule at Winton Woods Middle School, but plans to register again in the 9th grade. Adversa, though, has registered for 2 classes at Miami Hamilton and 2 more at UC Blue Ash. Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'd just like to say it's great to get this award, and doing the college class was just a great experience, and it was amazing, and it's just great to get this award.
Thank you. Before he sits down, I'd like to say one other thing. At 11 years old, he is the youngest student Miami University has ever had. Yes. Wow. Yes. He beat me out because I didn't get there until I was 12. All right. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Pachatry? I must have gotten it right because you came up, so that's good enough. She's actually from Thailand, and she's our foreign exchange students. And the Long family, please stand up. The Long family. They're our host family with their beautiful baby. Baby's name is? Julia. Julia. All right. So, you guys are the host family. Tell me why you do it.
Holly's our 5th exchange student. She's the first one we've hosted since we had this one. But come here.
She's going to steal the show. I mean, that's what she does.
We host because this is a really good school for international students to enjoy, and we like the AGS program a lot. And because sweet girls deserve a chance to experience America.
It's a great opportunity to share a culture that a lot of students here in Winton Woods probably would never get an opportunity to experience otherwise until college if they chose to. So it's just a great exchange, between our culture and Thailand and the others that we've hosted too.
Yeah.
My business manager, Mr. Denny, where are you? How many languages are spoken in our district, sir? 25 different languages. Most schools don't get that or have that shared experience. So thank you very, very much for your support, and thank you for coming all the way from Thailand.
I do have one more thing. We are the only host family I've heard this year in this high school, at least as far as the programs other than the Chinese sister school. So if anybody is interested in being a host family, there's no family that's too old or too young. We started when we were 25 before we had kids. So I urge you to think about it and go with any program that you research, but I work with AFS and that's who she's here through. So we need more host families in this area.
It's a really great experience for any family that's willing to do it. I mean, she's our daughter as much as Julie is our daughter, and they're sisters. They love each other. They have a great time together. It's just.
We started when they were 25, and now they're 26. So, way to go. Thank you.
29.
Okay, the next award comes from the Ohio House of Representative Commendation. Wintonwood's Food Service, congratulations to the food service staff at Wintonwood's Middle and Intermediate Schools, who each received a letter of commendation from State Representative Jonathan Deaver. Mr. Deaver writes, I want to congratulate you for receiving the title Clean Kitchen Award from the Hamilton County Department of Public Health. Where are my people? All right. I can guarantee you, ladies, everybody in this audience would just would like to thank you for having the clean kitchen. All right, that means a whole lot to me, and I think it means a lot to everyone in the audience. So thank you for your special effort, time, and talent. And so I'll go on and finish up Mr. Deaver's letter. This achievement is a testament to your hard work and dedication to provide outstanding service for your customers and the community. I am confident that this facility will continue to maintain its honorable reputation and follow in the tradition of excellence that has been its hallmark. Again, I congratulate you on this great achievement. If I can ever be of any assistance, please do not hesitate to contact my office. Signed, Jonathan Deaver, State Representative, Ohio House of Representatives. Thank you very, very much. Okay, Chinese Bridge Delegation 2016-17. Ms. Princess Crenshaw. If I received this letter, I would probably be proud but scared at the same time. Not because I'm afraid to travel abroad, but the food, okay? So, congratulations. You have been selected to join the 2016 Chinese Bridge Delegation, a week-long educational program in China, November 9th to the 18th. As a delegate, you will have an outstanding opportunity to deepen your understanding of China, share best practices, and build partnership with Chinese students or in Chinese schools. This program is sponsored by Confucius Institute headquarters, Hanban, and you will be traveling as a guest of Hanban. Miss Princess Crenshaw, thank you.
I just want to thank the district, the board for allowing me to go, Dr. Holden for thinking of me when this came across her desk and acting as a thought partner through the application process. I'm very blessed and humbled to have this experience, and I'm looking forward to going on over and bringing back some more great opportunities for our district and our students.
And you will be back.
And I will be back on the 18th. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Martin, you're not receiving any awards or anything, but I want to know, what are you going to do from November 9th to the 18th?
I'm going to ask Amber Strausser and Tim Martin and Priya Sante to pick it up.
Okay, all right. Just wondering. Okay, where is Mrs. Adrian Martin? Not here? Okay. Would you be willing to accept these kind words on her behalf, Mr. Martin? All right. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but Dr. Holden has been part of this Deeper Learning Forum cohort, and she has been an amazing contributor of knowledge to make the Deeper Learning movement go as fast and as incredible as it can. So she has been our advocate, she has been our chair, she's been our responsible party. So they reached out and said, okay, are there more people like you? All right, of course there's only one Dr. Holden, but we found someone as comparable, and that's Miss Adrian Martin. So here's a letter. Dear Adrian, on behalf of Envision Learning Partners, we would like you to officially to become a member of the second cohort of the Deeper Learning Leadership Forum. We're excited about your participation and hope you will accept this invitation quickly and with a smile on your face. As we discussed on our call, we will have about 15 cohort members and we'll meet 3 times a year of the 2 years. Our first meeting will be October 17th and 18th in Oakland, while the second will take place in December 13th in New Orleans. The third convening will be March 27th and 28th, immediately preceding the Deeper Learning Conference at High Tech High in San Diego. We hope you'll be able to stay for all parts of the conference. We will pay costs for all forum gatherings. Bravo. I'm sure Mrs. Martin was selected because of her incredible attitude as it relates to education, and one day you may get selected, sir. Okay.
So do I get an opportunity to speak on her behalf?
You can speak on her behalf.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. No, Adrian is extremely excited about the opportunity to represent Winton Woods in the Deeper Learning cohort. I'm not quite sure people understand how exciting and how amazing of an opportunity this is. With the Deeper Learning cohort, we not only have one, now we have 2 members of our family and our Winton Woods team that's a part of this tremendous opportunity. Through this opportunity, it's the meeting of the minds of some of the leading educators in the United States. And to say we have 2 in that group is really an accomplishment. And when I say the leading educators in the United States, I'm talking members from Stanford University. I'm talking members from different foundations like the Gates Foundation. Everything that's challenging how we engage kids differently in the 21st century. So I'm super excited for my wife. I'm super excited for Dr. Holden. Everything that they go be a part of, they'll bring it back to the district to help us grow our culture and become an amazing place for young people. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Next award is the Community Spirit Award, and this goes to a individual or group that has had significant contributions to the Winton Woods City School District over a period of many years. So, McKelvey Road Baptist Church, Reverend Bob Singleton, pastor. Yes. Winton Woods City Schools is grateful to the congregation of McKelvey Road Baptist Church and Pastor Bob Singleton for embracing the idea of community service through their volunteer work with the students of our district. As a volunteer orientation meeting at one of our buildings, people attended talked about their reasons for donating their time. Pastor Singleton said he recognized the need for the church to be involved in the school system. He was there to serve our students, and he brought several church members with him who wanted to help out in our buildings. So whether they've helped at the open house at Winton Woods Primary North or sat outside of the classrooms tutoring students in math and reading, the volunteers from McKelvey Road Baptist Church have generously given their time and attention to our youngest warrior learners. They understand the power of academic success and support our mission to actively engage and challenge all learners to reach their maximum potential. We thank Pastor Singleton and the members of his congregation for their service to our district. Please accept our appreciation with the district's Community Spirit Award for September. Thank you.
Thank you for the award. Our people at McKelvey Road are excited about our school partnership, and we look forward to many years working in the schools. Thank you.
Very good. Is Miss Tammy West or Robin Lind present tonight? Come on up. This next Community Spirit Award presentation goes to the Cincinnati Police Federal Credit Union. Since 2014, Winton Woods City Schools has enjoyed a financial education partner with the CPFCU. The company's employees have volunteered both their time and financial resources to support our student, staff, and families in a variety of ways. Just last week, the credit union sponsored 2 sessions of Finances 101 at Winton Woods High School. This was a fun and interactive way for students to learn a game of life. During the event, students traveled through a life-size game board where they were assigned a career and salary and rolled a dice to determine the number of children they'd have. Anybody want those dice back? Along the way, players had to figure out how they would pay for rent, food, insurance, car payments, and life's little surprises. The game emphasized how earnings impact buying decisions, how to set a budget, how to make it really cost, how much it really costs to run a household, and how to spend within one's means. The Cincinnati Police Federal Credit Union has also donated $4,000 to $4,500 annually to the district through contributions. The Winton Woods High School Special Ed Department, the Alternative Schools College Fair, and the district's new teacher organization. Our financial partnership with the credit union allows students to join the credit union and free services are provided for all student accounts. Additionally, the credit union awards scholarships each year to high school seniors who display academic excellence and involvement in community service. In 2015, Winton Woods graduate Sarai Dean was awarded $1,000 per year for consecutive years of study at Northern Kentucky University. We're grateful to the way CPFCU has supported Winton Woods students, and we applaud its members for their generous service to our district. We're pleased to present the September Community Spirit Award to the Cincinnati Police Federal Credit Union. Thank you.
Well, they're getting your pictures. My classes came through here, and it was like between 25 and almost 50 students per bell coming through all these sessions. So they, just reflecting on it, they were amazed at how much it cost, and particularly how much children added to your budget at every station, whether it was groceries or cars or housing. They were just amazed. One child said when he got to the groceries and he was buying groceries for his 3 kids and his wife, now I know what my mother was talking about. So they really, they took it personally. It was surprising how real it felt to them. It was an amazing opportunity. I can't thank you enough. And there was like 30 volunteers in here. So it was just an amazing day for all of our students. I want to thank you.
Thank you.
I will say a little something. I'm Tammy West. I'm the marketing manager at the Cincinnati Police Federal Credit Union, and one of our primary goals is really to reach out to the communities in our area. One of our overriding goals is financial education, and it has been an exciting opportunity to partner with the Winton Woods City Schools to help their students do that. And it is very exciting to be a part of a forward-thinking school district and to hear all of the wonderful things that are going on in this district, and with Principal Martin and Assistant Principal Crenshaw. So it's just a wonderful partnership for us. We have enjoyed really interacting with the students here and hope to be able to continue to do that in the future and help them solidify their personal financial education while they're here at high school, so that when they go on, when they graduate and go on to the next chapter of their life, they are fully ready for wherever life takes them. So thank you so much. We are honored to receive this.
Thank you. Is anyone here from Forest Chapel?
Yes.
Finally! Finally! Yes! Dr. Kambaba, we've been trying to give you this award since July.
I was in the Congo.
Okay, all right. Okay. All right.
It's a very good excuse.
You know what? Should we accept? Well, okay. The Winton Woods Board of Education thanks the Forest Chapel United Methodist Church and its pastor, Dr. J. Kabamba Kaboko, for their generous donation of 2 Chromebooks, classroom supplies, and personal care items to be given to students. The approximate value was $3,000. Thank you very, very much.
It is great to be on this boat together with you. We have been in this community for 60 years, established the same year as the city of Forest Park, and its pastor turned 60 yesterday. So we are so happy to be with you, and we'll continue to do that for the betterment of our community. Thank you, and if you will excuse me, I have to go do visitation.
All right. You know, it's difficult catching up with these church people. You know, you're giving them awards and you don't hear from them. No. Okay. All right. So July gift recognition goes to the Springdale Nazarene Church and lead pastor, Reverend Darrell Blank. The Winton Woods City School District thanks you very much for the donation of $1,000 to purchase books for our summer reading program and deeply appreciate your generosity. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I'll take my time just to thank you for your generosity. You didn't need to do that, but to tell the board thank you for your work. We consider it a ministry that you do in our community, and we pray for you often. And so these are unsettling times that we serve in, and so we pray for wisdom and direction and strength for you guys. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, our final award goes to, no, there are 2 more. Winton Woods Educational Foundation, representative here tonight. Come on up. The Board of Education thanks the Winton Woods Educational Foundation for extreme support of providing over $3,200 in grant money to teachers at convocation and securing the matinee musical grant for $16,300. The funds will be used for special tutoring for promising students and has already provided for almost $3,500 worth of musical instruments for students. Thank you very much. The Winton Woods City School District thanks you guys for your generosity and the way to keep music alive. Thank you very, very much.
this doesn't work, so.
It does. Just not internally.
Well, for those of you who were not at the convocation, I never thought I'd grow up to be president, and here I am. It's a mystery, a complete mystery to me. But of course, as we all know, nothing happens because I did anything. It's always a group effort, and in this instance, John and his wife were extremely instrumental in obtaining the grant for the music here at the Winton Woods. And Mary Lou, I think you're going to hear from you got something else going on tonight with the
Yeah, with the garden club too.
Yeah. So there's always stuff going on. We want to thank you for recognizing us, and maybe we can do this again real soon.
Mr. President.
Final award goes to the Forest Park Gardeners. Anyone from that? There you go.
Come on there.
President. Okay, she's going to be picture person.
All right. The Forest Park Gardeners donated a 5x6 polymetal sign to support the recycling efforts inside the Winton Woods High School Stadium, approximate value $500. The Board of Education thanks the Gardeners for their generosity and incredible longevity and many years of support. Thank you very, very much.
I'll just say a couple things. Our club was established over 50 years ago, and we've done a lot of things in collaboration with the city. And it's really nice at this point in time to work with the schools. And our entire club voted to work in collaboration with the Forest Park schools. So it's a new project, and we're excited. And we have to give Wright Gwynn some recognition because he was instrumental in getting us connected. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, raise your hand, Mr. Denny. Thank you for being our ambassador on this side. We appreciate your work every single day. Thank you. That's it, Madam President and Board.
All right. Thank you, Superintendent Smith, and congratulations again to all of our students and our administrators, teachers, and wonderful community that partner with us every day. We greatly appreciate your support. And right now, we will take a short 5-minute recess. Okay, we will now resume our board meeting. And now we go into our content or comments from the public. And Sheila Cottle, you're up first.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's been a pleasure to be here and just watch all the celebration. Thank you. I'm Sheila Cottle, resident of Forest Park of over 40 years, as well as one of the City of Forest Park council members. And we're honored that our two sons graduated from the school system here, and one is an architect and the other will be in business management at one point. So thank you for that, too. I would like to thank President Jessica Miranda for her attendance at the joint meeting of the Winton Woods Board of Education and the City of Forest Park council members. We also were able to have Mr. Ty Smith, our HR director, there too. And thanks for the update. And I'm looking forward to the presentation by Dr. Holden this evening. And thank you for allowing me to be here. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Mr. Cleary.
Madam President, Superintendent, and Treasurer,
It's always fun to follow hearing all the accolades of our students. So congratulations to our students. And I'd like to applaud the Board of Education for the community engagement process that you're establishing with local business. I've never seen so much engagement with the religious community and just other community groups throughout all three communities. So congratulations on that engagement. Board members, you'll find at your desk, your seat, my written report. It's the beginning of the school year, so there's not a whole lot that's going on at Great Oaks. We've changed our website, so if by chance you go out there, if you've ever used it, you'll see that there's been a change there. Similar to Winton Woods District, last week we spent time going through our report card, just like every other school district in the state of Ohio. And in your packet, you'll find a copy. I believe it's the 3rd page. While we're happy with it, very similar to Winton Woods, we know that there's work involved with continuing to have a greater expectation to improve our scores. But I wanted to include a copy of that, and also say when we get our report card, we do the same thing that Winton Woods does, is we benchmark our school against other joint vocationals or career centers throughout the state of Ohio. And there's some similarities that pop up, and those similarities run right down the socioeconomic lines. Exactly. I kind of find it interesting when I looked at the Great Oaks, and then I went back and I looked at Winton Woods and did the comparison through all 19 or 20 of the Hamilton County schools, that the schools that necessarily didn't do the best, that didn't meet their indicator, all fell into a socioeconomic group. Those parallels are just kind of interesting to see how that trend runs. How you answer that, or how you fix it, or how we fix it, is still a struggle. But I know we're doing it at Great Oaks, and you're doing it here at Winton Woods. Also in your packet, you'll find a copy of the enrollment analysis and our articulation agreements. The articulation agreement's a rather large document, but it shows kind of what we're doing with our post-secondary and the same opportunities that you're giving students in Winton Woods to get college credit and high school credit at the same time. We're doing that at Great Oaks. It's a rather large list that we have. We only had one student to highlight this month from Winton Woods, Miles White. Miles White is in the Computer Service Technology Networking group at the Great Oaks, and he's the BPA treasurer. He's serving also. Last component of my report is the legislative side. We received a letter from the state superintendent approving our board's proposal to stagger the terms of its current 35 members. Those terms were to expire December the 31st of 2016. As you remember, the legislation that Ohio passed said that there was a plan. The plan had to be approved by the superintendent, even though legislatively guidelines were recommended. We recommended to the state superintendent that we divide our affiliated schools districts into thirds, the representatives that serve like myself, and they agreed. And at our last board meeting on September the 14th, the resolution was passed approving the superintendent's new guidelines, which basically mean instead of all 35 board members at the Great Oaks all coming off in one fell swoop, now it's going to be staggered. A third will come off in 2019, a third will come off in 2022, and the final third will come off in 2025. So in your packet, you'll see where we lie within that. And then the last item that I wanted just to make a couple comments about is Great Oaks is starting to prepare for a levy, very similar to kind of what Winton Woods has done. The Great Oaks had a building bond a couple years back. We had a need to improve our facilities to meet the demands of our students, very similar to Winton Woods. Ours was more technical based, and we needed specialty space. So while it's not exactly the same as Winton Woods, it's very similar. In the community, Hamilton County came back and they voted yes, and we were able to do the improvements to our buildings. I would encourage those that live within the Winton Woods School District to consider the same thing. This is an opportunity to go out and vote for the improvement of schools within our district that will serve not just the community and the students. Hopefully it would become, hopefully it'll give our teachers better space to educate our students. So I would just encourage you to please come out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda, board, is the approval of minutes as attached. So unless you see any necessary changes, a motion would be in order.
Yes, Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you please call that vote?
Sure. Mr. Birdie?
Aye.
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye.
Mrs. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Miranda?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. We will now move into the treasurer's report. Mr. Seymour, you have the floor.
Well, we've only finished 2 months of this fiscal year, and our year-to-date revenues are at $13 million, and our month-to-date we're at 2.9. Most of our revenues for this month were from state foundation. Our expenditures for the first 2 months of this year were $7.9 million in the general fund. All funds combined, we had a total of $18.9 million, of which $18.1 million represented the general fund and your fund balances at the close of August.
Thank you, Mr. Seymour. Any questions, comments for Mr. Seymour, board? Okay, with no objections being heard, we will let the financial report for the month of August 2016 be submitted to audit. And back to you, Mr. Seymour, for your recommendations.
For the investments for the month of August, we earned $15,300 from our portfolio.
Thank you, Mr. Seymour. Board, a motion would be in order for this one.
I'll make a motion to approve the investment report for August 2016 as presented.
I'll second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Seymour, would you please call that vote?
Sure. Mr. Birdie?
Aye.
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye.
Mrs. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Miranda?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. And we will move into the reports from our superintendent. Mr. Smith, you have the floor for 8.01.
Yes, Madam President and Board. For your information and discussion, there are several activities that are taking place all through the district, but there's one that jumps out at me that I've never seen before. This is an October 13 event at the preschool, and it's pumpkin carving with Dad. All right, I've seen donuts with Dad and muffins for Mom and squash for sisters, but I've never seen that one before. So I think it's going to be a very exciting time. I'm going to try to make it, and I hope other board members will attempt to do so. There are other things that are happening in here, but I think that one was the one that jumped out at me today. Pumpkin carving with Dad starts at 6:30 p.m. Okay. Exciting.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. And we'll go back to you for 8.02.
Yes. Dr. Holden? As Mr. Cleary mentioned about the report card, what we want to do is always be very, very transparent with the public about what's happening with our report card, what's happening with our academic status. And one of the things we'd like for you to understand, since I've been the superintendent, we've had a conversation on understanding the term growth versus achievement. They're in two different cylinders, and I hope people understand that there is a vast difference between the two. You have to get the growth before you can get the achievement. And I think Dr. Holden will do an incredible job explaining to the public what that means and how we get there.
Dr. Holden, before you begin, I apologize. I promised Brian, Mr. Schultz, right? Yes. Okay, to come up and do his... Okay, good, perfect, and this works out. We're going to move up our report from the Winton Woods Teachers Association. Mm-hmm. So you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time and moving me up on the agenda. I want to take the opportunity to address the Winton Woods Board of Education. My name is Brian Schultz. I'm a high school government and economics teacher. I'm a building representative and immediate past president of the Winton Woods Teachers Association. Our current president, Michelle Bretz, asked that I make this evening's remarks since she could not attend this evening. I want to state at the very top, the Winton Woods Teachers Association wholeheartedly supports this upcoming bond issue. Our executive council has pledged $1,500 of its treasury to the pro-bond campaign. For the teachers, you see, it's more than buildings. It's creating new educational opportunities for the 21st century. The buildings in place were designed and built under a completely different educational mindset. The days of the 1950s classroom with chairs all in a row and a teacher lecturing in front of the class are rapidly fading into the past. If we can agree that we live in a post-industrial age, then we'd better provide the educational options that will fulfill tomorrow's opportunities, not yesterday's. Students in nearly every surrounding district have an edge. Our students are achieving and can achieve more, but the physical structures they are learning in are an impediment. The buildings in place are essentially worn out. They have served their purpose, but the needs of students and families have changed greatly since the last new building was constructed in about 1972. Other buildings date back more than 50 years. The educational demands and challenges going forward are entirely different than in those days. Taxpayers demand efficiency from their traditional public schools and their tax dollars. The current structure is completely inefficient. Too many buildings needing too much maintenance, too much space inefficiency, too small classrooms will all prevent the ability of teachers to teach to their potential, and more importantly, students to learn to their potential. Our new model with emphasis on new tech and project-based learning is based on 21st century needs and best practices. And while the teachers are all working toward implementation of these new and exciting initiatives, we're being slowed down by an infrastructure that has outlived its usefulness. Make no mistake, the school district and the taxpayers have more than gotten their money's worth from these buildings. They were created in an era when more and more students were being added and premium was on more classrooms, more space, more buildings. In those days, a laptop was something you got when you sat down. A Chromebook probably came with tail fins and white wall tires, and a tablet was something you took for a headache. The internet was probably something a fisherman might use. While we have fewer students than in those days, the students we do have demand far greater educational services. As we have learned how children learn, we need the resources to help them to learn. A walk around the high school, for example, shows neat and clean hallways, but with too many useless nooks and crannies, no storage space for materials, inefficient use of space for project work, and classrooms just not able to meet the students' needs. Never mind the terribly designed roof and lack of space for high-tech upgrades needed for 21st century learning. We are making do, but learning suffers. It suffers. We need larger classrooms, flexible classroom space for collaborative and team teaching, adjacent or more convenient space for pullouts for individualized instruction, dedicated space for our multi-handicapped students, multiple elevators to safely move and evacuate wheelchair students, better storage for teacher materials, more display space for student projects and presentations, safer entry and exit points to the buildings for security, better heating and air conditioning, better wireless connectivity, larger bathrooms, more logical teacher workspace, a better roof design. The list is endless. I've spoken with teachers who have lots of great ideas and would love to implement them, but they don't have the space. They're frustrated. The classrooms are too small. Designed for 30 kids at desks in rows with no movement, they bear little relation to how education is delivered today and for the future. With what we've learned about pedagogy and child development in the last 50 years, it's clear these buildings are not flexible enough to meet the challenges. I would say our district and our business manager have done yeoman work keeping the buildings up and running, but it's a losing battle. The buildings will only get older, and the demands for new services will only grow greater. I mean, the HVAC systems in the high school are the worst design setup I have ever seen. What would the cost be to retrofit something new and efficient? And how can you guarantee that heating and cooling would be uniform throughout the building? Not likely. And is that a good use of taxpayer dollars? I don't think so. This is the case in all buildings. The teachers and students have to work around these sorts of obstacles to learning, which wastes valuable time. Teachers know the deal. Teaching is difficult work under ideal circumstances. We know that. We are dealing with little human beings and not widgets. But add to the ordinary challenges space that is more and more impractical for delivering educational services, and their job becomes eminently more difficult. Teachers are not looking for or expecting cushy offices with lots of bells and whistles. They are looking for a space and environment that maximizes their ability to deliver educational services and allows students, the children, to receive those services in the most efficient way. They want to be able to do their jobs without the physical limitations of the buildings getting in their way. Teachers are not looking for structures that make their job easier. They know that's impossible. They want structures that allow them to do their jobs more efficiently and better. Our teachers, your teachers, want to teach the children of this district, and they want what's best for the children. When all of us in this room are gone, the buildings will still be here, and hundreds and thousands of children will come through our doors needing the best educational opportunities we can give them. The buildings we have did a good job for 50 years. It is now the best time to construct new buildings for the next 50 years. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So I'm going to talk right now about the 2016 local report card, which just came out last week and puts us on this schedule, so I'm told by ODE from here on out. Stay tuned. Okay, so here's our, there's no overall grade. That comes in 2018, and that is because we are still in that 3-year safe harbor. But we do have component grades. So I'll go through each of these in the following slides, starting with achievement. So you can see the component grades right there for the 6 components: achievement, progress, gap closing, prepared for success, K-3 literacy, and graduation rate. So as I said, we're in our, really our last year for safe harbor, but we don't get a component grade until 2018. What that means is that schools, districts, teachers are held harmless because of all the transition and all the change going on at ODE. So, report card components, achievement, this is an F. Let me tell you what achievement is. So achievement is simply all of the tests that our students take. So it is in grades 3 and 7, reading and math, grades 4 and 6, reading, math, and social studies, grades 5 and 8, reading, math, and science, grade 11, reading, writing, math, science, social studies. This is the last time you will see the Ohio graduation test. And then end of course test for high school students in English 1, English 2, Algebra 1, Geometry, Biology, Physical Science, American Government, and U.S. History. I want to say this now, and you'll hear me say it several times. This is the 3rd test version format in 3 years. 3rd different test in 3 years. It's a challenge. So based upon performance, achievement is performance on those tests. So what I've prepared for you here is by building and then by district, last year's results, the number, meaning the number of indicators, test indicators we made, and then the corresponding letter grade. So you can see if my little, my light doesn't really work, but down at the bottom on 2015 for this Winton Woods City School District, there were 33 indicators total. This year there are 30. So you see right there, that's a change. They're moving things in and out. So any cell that you see in red, we went down. If it's in yellow, we stayed the same as last year. And if it's in green, we went up. So you can see in terms of the number of indicators, we went down. Only one test, and it was an 11th grade OGT, did we make. Yet, we stayed the same in the component grade, right? F. And there are some reasons for that. So this is achievement. So performance index, this is now how well do the students do on the test? How well do individual students do at those performance levels? Limited, basic, proficient, advanced, accelerated. So here are our performance index grades. This looks a little different, but it's no surprise when you look at the achievement. So we went down in every tested area in terms of the points as well as the percentage. Again, new test. So at the middle school, grade 7, both tests completely new. Grade 8, reading and math were new, science was the same. So if it's a reading or math test, it is the third test in 3 years. And you can see on the percentage we went down, the grade, we kind of held steady at D's, and then the high school dipped. So the next component is gap closing. So what gap closing is how do we close those gaps between our different student groups? So the gap between the special ed students and the gifted students, or the gap between our African American students and our white students. That's what gap closing is. It's sometimes called annual measurable objectives, or AMOs. But you can just think, how do I close the gap, right? So last year, you can see that except for the high school, there were Fs, and it's all Fs this year. I will say the high school has dropped because up until this year, they've had this, you'll see this NR, not rated. So that's part of that transition to this new report card. So now as we're getting closer, all of these grades are falling into place. In addition to the fact that the high school is just in its second year of completely new test, and the 10th grade OGT is no longer on the report card. Okay, K-3 literacy, a D. I'm just going to say now, if you go out and look on ODE's website to look at all school districts, many got Fs. Many that would surprise you and will remain unnamed right now. So we have a D. This is just the language about the K-3 literacy. It honestly gets pretty complex, and it involves students in grades K through 3. How do we take them from off track in reading one year to on track in reading the next year? So here's our data. One way to look at it, the yellow is students off track in kindergarten, and the green is by the time they made it to first grade, those students who were on track, if that makes sense. The next slide, this is another way to look at this. Okay, so in 2016 at K, we had 42.9% of our students move from off track to on track. That's an improvement. Grade 1 went down a little bit. Grade 2 increased. Grade 3 went down significantly. I will tell you that is not an anomaly. You will see those kind of numbers. I mean, you can look at it twice, 63.3 to 4.8. You can look at those numbers for school districts around the state. This is why some neighboring high-performing districts have Fs in K-3 literacy. But in terms of the grade, aside from grade 3, we remain the same. So progress. This is, how are we growing our children, right? We know achievement, that was the very first slide. So we know on the test, we're not meeting the performance standard. But are we growing them? So this is also called value add, right? What value are we adding to this child's education? This is a one-year value add for this year. So if you get a grade of A, it indicates you're really growing a child more than 1 year. C is about average, so think grade of C 1 year, grade of A more than 1. So this slide may look familiar to you as well as the next one, in that Mr. Smith in his State of the Schools likes to focus on these slides for a very good reason. And so here we have two students, Jacob and Adam. So they both come in, if you look to the left, they both come in at different points. Right? They both bring different academic skills and gifts. But by the time the year ends, Jacob has lost ground. Adam might have gained ground, but Jacob has lost ground. So they both end at the same point. We've grown Adam, but we surely have not grown Jacob. So here, when you focus on every group, all students, students can come in at different points, and they may never cross, but both grow, right? That is the goal, growth for all students. So this is when you think of value add, this is it. Progress. And here you go. This is banner for us, quite honestly. So last year, you'll see the high school was not rated. So those component grades are just now dropping in for high schools. So C overall for high school, C in gifted, C in students with disabilities, A in lowest 20%. And as a reminder, lowest 20% is how are we growing our lowest 20% of students academically, our academically lowest, how are we growing them? The middle school, I mean, F to A in overall, F to B in gifted, D to C in students with disabilities, D to C in lowest 20%. The intermediate school, F to A in overall, D to B in gifted, C to A in students with disabilities, and C to A in lowest 20%. The elementary, D to A overall, no rating last year for gifted. C stayed about the same with students with disabilities, and then F to A for lowest 20%. And then as a district, F to A overall, F to A gifted, D to B students with disabilities, F to A lowest 20%. I can tell you it is not in this presentation, but I did an examination of all of the districts in our grouping, our ODE similar district grouping, as well as the districts surrounding us. And I will say you that we performed better than most. That's a tribute to the hard work of our teachers and principals and children. Okay, graduation rate. Again, we're evaluated on 4 years and then 5 years. Winton Woods, like every other school in Ohio, is penalized for making the right decision for children, and that students with disabilities who are entitled by federal law to attend school until their 22nd birthday. If they do not leave in 4 years, we are penalized for that, but that is a penalty that we willingly take because it's what's right for children. So 4-year rate, this 4-year for 2016 includes that grade 23 penalty, but we still went up. The component grade still is a D, which it was last year, and then we went down slightly for a 5-year. The component grade is still the same with a C. Okay, prepared for success. So component grade of D overall, and this has several sections. So the first are the college admissions test. So participation, you get a grade for how many of your students actually take this test. And then you get a grade for, of those students who took the test, how many meet that identified mark as being able to enter college remediation free in a certain content area. So for the ACT, we went up in participation and up in the percentage of students who are remediation free. SAT, we went down slightly in participation, but up in the number of students remediation free. Honors diploma. So we went up almost a full percentage there from last year to this year. Industry recognized credential. These would be our students from Great Oaks, because we do not really offer industry credentials here on site. That went down slightly. Advanced placement. So again, like the ACT and the SAT, participation. Pretty big increase in participation. And then score of 3 or better. With score of 3 or better, that's the cut, because that's generally, again, it depends on the college and the course, that's generally when you'll start earning college credit. So we increased there. And then dual enrollment, we almost doubled our number of students in dual enrollment CCP classes. So these next slides are about, we give an assessment to our students called the measure of academic progress. So it's how we measure where they are when they come in and how much we grow them. So this is a companion to our value add, where you could see that our letter grades indicated that we were growing our students. So this will tell you how. The red line indicates kind of the beginning of the year standard for the middle grade. So in this case, grade 1. So our kids come in below that, right? But we grow them. And this is math, primary math, so that's K2. Primary reading, again, the red line indicates the beginning of grade 1, the standard there. So we're coming in slightly below. We grow them. Same thing with elementary reading. So this is grades 3 through 6. That red line is the grade 4, beginning of the year standard. And we come in low even at grade 4 and 5. But you can clearly see the growth, particularly at grade 5 and grade 6, which goes back, if you remember their letter grades, they actually did the best in value add. So that would make sense to me. Math. This is grades 7 through 10 in terms of growth. So the red line is the entry at grade 8. Again, here's where we start coming in significantly behind. But still, think back to that growth slide, right? We are really growing these children. These are huge gains, actually. And then secondary reading, same thing. Really, really big gains, particularly at grade 10. Whoops, excuse me. So, here's what I want you to think about. How the overall grades were calculated changed this year. The minimum passing score for every test increased significantly. The targets for gap closing, which we did not make, but the targets for gap closing increased significantly. All of the 10th grade OGT indicators were removed from the report card, as I mentioned earlier. And then again, this is the 3rd test in 3 years. So we went from the Ohio Achievement Test to the PARC test to the AIR test. Because of this wide range of cut scores, it really, kind of in my world, in the world of curriculum directors, this is an indication that ODE is still struggling with getting it right. And they're struggling with getting it right at the expense of all of the school districts and the children in the state. You know, we have these accountability systems, and the report card is an accountability system. But it's put out, and that's it. It's put out. There's no, really, there's no real means or method to say, hey, here's how we're going to, we know we've changed this, here's how we're going to support you. So honestly, as dismal as this looks, there are some bright spots, but we did better than many districts. So if you remember that very first slide, the test indicators, achievement. So there are 609 school districts in the state of Ohio. 22 school districts met that achievement indicator. 22 with a grade of A. 31 met it with a grade of B. 41 met it with a grade of C. 129 with a grade of D, and we had an F. 386 districts had an F on the indicators met. So if you take the F and the D, 84.6% of the school districts in Ohio did not make the achievement indicator. So when I see data like that, that tells me something is wrong. Not an excuse, but I think it's a contextual point that everyone needs to be aware of. Again, this place is not, I want this place to become really unfamiliar for us. Mm-hmm. Right now it's too familiar, but I will say we are moving in the right direction because we have changed. We have started this process that is really going to transform us from top to bottom. So I don't think anybody on the executive team or in any building is satisfied. I'm pleased with the value add, the progress, but we know that there's work to do, but we're on that path. So, questions? I just want to remind you of that again.
Are we allowed to ask? I have a couple. With the testing, what is the testing this year? Is it different, or is it the same as the testing as last year?
Same.
Which is AIR, A-I-R?
AIR.
Which means?
AIR is just, we shouldn't call it AIR. We should call it by its proper name, which is the Ohio's... AIR is American Institutes for Research. They create the test.
Okay.
The actual test is Ohio's State Assessment in Reading Grade 3, Ohio's State Assessment in Reading Grade 4, etc.
So it will be the same format, or the same time?
So the same test, right. So grade 3, reading and math, grade 4, reading, math, social studies. So it kind of alternates, science and social studies. And then high school are the end of course assessments.
Ms. Cohn, I understand your question. Your question is, Dr. Holden gave us information that it's 3 different tests, 3 different years. Your question is, will this be the year that is consistent, where our kids will be familiar with the format?
Yes.
And there's some measurement of that you can use as your baseline.
Because you're comparing the same thing. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Because I know that many districts were disappointed wherever they were, where they thought they were, where they were before. So I was just kind of curious how this would work out this year if they're planning on switching it around. So they're keeping it consistent to the way they did last year, at least one more year. That's no guarantee that they'll continue that on.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, they are keeping it consistent. Something that will be coming at some point in time, and I don't know when, and this is based on ESSA, and that is, how do I want to describe it? Some subjective measure.
It's about feelings.
Yeah, about feelings. And as you can imagine, the problem is everybody wants to do something different, and so nobody knows how to how do you quantify qualitative data?
Right, because the No Child Left Behind was very restrictive, and I think the Every Child Succeeds is, then they're giving it back to everyone to do. If I'm not mistaken, that's a little bit of a difference on it. You said value added, which I appreciate, and I think that's the growth or the progress is really where you start to make the impact. What I was curious was, you said it was just one more year of value added. What did that mean?
So, typically value add is done across 3 years. In the past, it's been done across 3 years. This year is 1 year. So next year, they're going to a 3 years.
So
So
it starts
even I,
over.
as not a mathematician, knows that that does not bode well for us, right? So even if we do as well next year as we did this year, and I have no reason to believe we will not, it's still, that will now be masked because we're going back to a 3-year value add. Does that make sense?
Are we kind of starting over from,
So they're probably going to grab
Grab a
next
calculation to the
year's, this
lower-
year's, and last year's.
and that's where that's the new threshold.
Right.
Okay.
So that's what you're saying, they'll grab the F from the year before.
Yes, that's my understanding.
So we'd have F, our current A, and then whatever our next grade would be.
Hopefully a current
Hopefully
A.
another A. So it would
Which
be
still
two
won't
A.
get you an A.
Still won't get you an A.
Correct.
Probably
So what it looks like is,
B
oh, you went
minus,
down.
C.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, just fuzzy.
the rules change again,
Very fuzzy.
but just so everybody's aware, that's what's coming.
So Dr. Holden, with all these changes that are occurring with the state, how confident can we be in the grades that we receive, whether we went down or we went up? How confident are you with the, as an administrator, as you're looking at how the students are progressing or where they're slipping? How does this all
You know,
factor in?
I'm pretty confident because that's why I included the MAP data. Because clearly there, on every measure, we are growing children, and that's reflected in the state data as well.
Okay.
Maybe if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be quite so confident, but I am. I mean, the teachers and the building principals worked really hard preparing students.
What's the highest grade we ever had in growth, Dr. Holden?
Honestly, in my time here, I don't ever remember us having anything that had sharp points to it.
Very good.
Well, I did kind of some of the same number.
Because you can get the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
the spreadsheet, and I did kind of the same thing. And, you know, I look at the AMO grade for all the districts, and 526 had Fs.
Right. And
Out of
I just gave you one data
609,
point, right,
yeah,
out of 609.
526 had Fs. I look at the progress component grade where we got an A, and there were only 114 out of all the districts that got an A.
Right.
That gives me some comfort and confidence that,
Right.
you know, we're moving in the right direction. Now, hearing some of what's going to happen as far as the calculations go in the future doesn't really help
Right.
us, but it's
But we
still-
are, we
but
are
we're
moving in the right direction.
We're moving in the right
Absolutely.
direction.
So I guess my point is, you know, read the numbers, but know the story behind the numbers, because I think that says something different as well.
Any reason why they wouldn't have just picked up 2 years? Why would you go back and pick up a third year with all the changes? I know, it's a stupid question, I know.
State likes to use a 3-year.
I don't know if there's been any discussion at any level.
I think they
we're in.
probably
They're good at
thinking,
doing that. They like to use a 3-year process.
they might think that that's more statistically
Yeah.
significant.
Well, it would
If
be
you
if
had
you
the
had
same-
consistent testing, but if you're changing the test, it's not statistically significant.
Right.
I don't believe it would be. I'm not a mathematician.
Right.
What do you think was one of the biggest changes, say, at the intermediate school for their growth? Because in the past, the intermediate school, I think, was working very hard to change that. What do you think was one of the factors that went into that?
I think, right, I think leadership, clearly. And I think we've been working hard for more than just last year. But last year, I mean, these teachers and principals are still standing, and we did kind of I did kind of a full court blitz on them. We had a new K-5 reading program. At grades K through 10, we did assessment testing with the measures of academic progress. We had a reading intervention program, ILIT, at grades 3 through 10. We had Rosetta Stone for all of our ELs. We had Math Excel. So, I mean, all in 1 year. It's like, and it was difficult.
Doc, how much did they complain about that?
They didn't complain at all, sir.
Very good.
Are they continuing to do, because one thing that I was looking for was continuity of practice and then having it over and
We
over
have
again?
not changed anything.
Good.
Just like it was.
Dr. Holden, one thing that I just would like to, it's I guess a question and an observation, is that we did receive an F in achievement, but we received an A in progress. And what that says to me is that the A in progress is the value added, which means we're growing the students that are in our seats. Whereas the F in achievement might say that the person came with the knowledge and they didn't move so much. So I'm thinking that somebody who had a school district that might have an A in achievement and an F in progress would mean that a student came with a body of knowledge and they just kind of marched along at the same pace. But they didn't, you didn't move them
That's the
up
first slide.
scale. They didn't move them up the scale.
Right.
So, I mean, I didn't know if everybody kind of picked up on that, you know, while we have an F in achievement, the A in progress means that we're moving them to another level. Now, as an educator, I know that if you have an F, you don't jump to an A overnight. There's a progress that has to happen. That means everybody in the whole school would have to make all A's in order to move that F to an A.
Right.
Yeah, or even to a B, you know, and that's not likely. I mean, you know, just as a general statement, it may not happen. But I just wanted to make the observation that a school district that may have an A in achievement, and I know that everybody wants us to get that A in achievement, and I do too, but I think that the A in achievement will come with the A in progress. As we're progressing, as we're growing, then we will eventually get to the other side on the achievement. To have an A in achievement and an F in progress, it means everybody comes with a body of knowledge and we don't teach them anything new. They're just marching at the same beat.
We don't grow them.
We don't grow them at all, you know. so.
I'd like to piggyback on what you're saying, Vice President Johnson, and just add to that something our superintendent always says frequently in our board work sessions, is that you can't have achievement without progress. So we are now getting the progress, and we're going to move on achievement. So you must first get one before you get the other, and I think that's a really important piece of our report card this year to discover.
Two of the things that I think the board has done tremendously to kind of support the work that the Teaching and Learning Department just does eloquently, offering the opportunity of all-day preschool, offering the opportunity of all-day kindergarten. We're getting the children earlier so that there now is a consistency about what the expectations are. And I think that was the other launch that we needed. So when people ask the question, how are you to maintain this? Well, we get the kids earlier, and if you see the growth track that we're talking about, it's very, very consistent that their scores are better the longer they stay with us and the earlier we get them. So that's where our work really does start.
So the story behind the achievement could also be a point in time of how, it's just a point in time of how they did on a particular test at that time, but the progress is measured over time.
Correct.
Very good.
Correct.
Any further questions for Dr. Holden? All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Holden. And Mr. Superintendent, we will go back to you for 8.03.
8.03 is really not for open enrollment, but it's really about enrollment period. So I don't know if there's a slide for that one, Mr. Denny. Okay. It's almost 350 students more over a 2-year period. And again, with the expansion of preschool, we're expecting the numbers to be higher as we grow and as we continue with our growth track. So people will look at our district eventually and wonder, how do you grow your kids? And they'll be very interested in that, and that will make people want to come and be part of our educational community. So if you look at 2014-15, 3401, 15-16, 3599, and of course 16-17. Ms. Wilson, how many teachers? We had to hire several kindergarten teachers because we had more students than we anticipated. How many times did we have to do that?
We had to hire 2 additional teachers.
Okay, all right, for more kindergarten kids that we can have an all-day experience. If you go to many of our schools, they're at capacity. And so we're excited about that. My goal is like 5,000 kids. That's what I'd like to have in a district, about 5,000 students. And I think we have the people that can kind of garner that support. Just by looking at it, we know that we can grow that experience and give kids the quality education that they deserve. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the superintendent for 8.03? All right, seeing none, we will move into our superintendent's recommendations. And Mr. Smith, you have the floor for 9.01.
Yes, Madam President and Board, it's the recommendation to approve the personnel schedules. Schedule A, resignations and retirements. Schedule B, certificated staff. Schedule C, support staff. Schedule D, extra duty and supplemental employment. Schedule E, leaves. And finally, Schedule M, termination of classified employees.
Board, a motion would be in order.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the personnel schedules as presented.
Second?
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you please call that vote?
Mr. Birdie? Aye. Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye.
Mrs. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Miranda?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously, and we'll move into 9.02, Mr. Superintendent.
Yes, Madam President and Board, each year Mr. Denny, the business manager, gives us an overview of the list of schools declared as impractical to provide transportation during the 16-17 school year. Mr. Denny, you want to say just a few brief words about how this impractical process takes place and how we declare it?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Smith, and good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Is this mic on?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Thank you. So, schools declared impractical is based on Ohio Revised Code around the requirements for public districts with regard to non-public schools. And it's essentially a 30-minute drive radius from the site where the students would be attending. It's not a distance, it's a time. And so you actually get in a bus and you drive during the time frame in which the school would be starting, so when you would be driving, and they time you. And if it's outside 30 minutes, for example, I'll just share one. Moeller, for example, is right on the edge, but it is outside 30 minutes. St. Xavier's right on the edge. So we have several non-public schools that are right on the edge. Sometimes a parent will appeal. There's an appeal process. But the list of schools you have before you are, if they're outside the 30-minute drive radius, we're not obligated to actually transport to those schools. If, however, you're within the 30-minute drive radius, we are obligated to transport unless we declare it impractical, which means there's just not enough students on that route to attend that school, because there are, I forget how many non-public schools in our four-county region, but I think it's well over 100. And so if you have only, say, one or two students going to a particular school, that school would be declared impractical because it's not good use of taxpayer dollars to do that. So instead, a payment in lieu of is given to the family if they apply, which they can apply across the first half of the school year. And we send out letters every year to people to take advantage of that if we're aware that that's something that they wish to partake in. So that's how the schools declared impractical comes to be.
Mr. Denny, it's safe to say that this list hasn't changed much since last year, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Occasionally a school will decrease in enrollment or something like that, and we'll take it away or add, but it didn't change from last year to this year.
Okay. Any further questions for Mr. Denny? All right, seeing none, a motion would be in order to approve this.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the motion, well, sorry, I've lost I have technical difficulties, so I will borrow, yours work? Sorry, I got lost.
Schools declared impractical to provide pupil transportation during the 2016-17 school year.
I'll second that.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you please call that vote?
Mr. Birdie?
Aye.
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye.
Mrs. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Miranda?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously, and we will move into 9.03.
Yes, Madam President and Board, unless there are some special questions, the recommendations to approve the bus stops for the 16-17 school year. I believe these stops are comparable to what they were before, right, Mr. Denny?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I'll make a motion to approve the bus stops for 2016-17 school year as presented.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you please call that vote?
Mr. Birdie?
Aye.
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye.
Mrs. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Miranda?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously, and we'll move into 9.04.
9.04, there was a revision, and the recommendations to approve the revised Board Policy 5320. The revision came about in the print, the last paragraph. It read before, the superintendent may be excluded if his immunizations are not completed. And it really should have read, the superintendent may exclude students. So basically, that was a correction. I can guarantee that all of my immunizations are up to date, and I just want to let you know.
Thank you for that correction.
I know you were itching to find out. I usually get my shots in Nassau.
Yeah. Do I hear a motion for this one?
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the revised Board Policy 5320 as presented.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you please call that vote?
Mr. Birdie?
Aye.
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye.
Mrs. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Miranda?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously, and Superintendent, back to you for 9.05.
Yes, Madam President and Board, as usual, doing our agenda critique, Dr. Johnson will always beg to read the resolutions and proclamation. So, Dr. Johnson, there you go.
Just begging to do this. Proclamation, National School Bus Safety Week, October the 17th through the 21st, 2016. Whereas the Winton Woods City School District Board of Education recognizes the critical and important role that bus drivers are entrusted with on a daily basis, and whereas the Winton Woods City School District Board of Education commends the dedication of these drivers who provide safe transportation for the students and staff members of our district, and whereas bus drivers demonstrate a positive role model to reinforce the importance of education and support for families, schools, and community, and whereas the Winton Woods City School District Board of Education, as a stakeholder in the educational development of these children, expresses its appreciation and support for the drivers and staff of the Winton Woods Transportation Department. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Winton Woods City School District Board of Education proclaims the week of October the 17th through the 21st, 2016, to be the week of sincere appreciation for the important role of the staff of the Transportation Department of our school district.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. A motion would be in order for this one as well.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution, National School Bus Safety Week, October 17th through 21st, 2016, as presented.
I'll second. I'll second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you please call that vote?
Mr. Birdie?
Aye.
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye.
Mrs. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Miranda?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously, and we will move into 10.01, which is my legislative report for you, members of the board, and Superintendent Smith and Treasurer Seymour. You have two items in front of you. First one is the Ohio School Board Association briefcase that I printed out for you. There hasn't been much going on in the legislature since they were in summer session, but as I'm sure you've seen from all of the emails that you get, the debacle is still continuing with ECOT, or the Electronic Classroom of Tomorrow. So I'll let you refer to your emails on that. And also, I've provided with you, or to you, an email you also should have received as a board member. And you'll see the email there on the first page, and then the actual Institute's study on the next packet. So this is a Ohio Education Policy Institute regarding the fiscal year 2016 local report card analysis. So keeping with our theme that a couple of our guests have mentioned tonight regarding the correlation between socioeconomic status and report card scores, I wanted to provide you with this actually printed out so that you could see this. It is an interesting body of research and might help you answer some questions out in our community when this topic comes up. So I have those two for you. And if you have any questions, I would love to entertain those. Otherwise, I know you've just received them, so if you have questions at a later date, you know how to find me. And we do not need to hear from Mr. Cleary again, as he already covered his Great Oaks report earlier in the meeting. And does any board member have any board motions for 11.01? Seeing none, we'll move on to board comments. And we'll start with you, Mrs. Ruggless.
I have none at this time.
All right, Mr. Birdie.
I think that Dr. Holden's presentation highlighted the fact that the district is making progress. There are good things going on in the district. Yes, we have an F. None of us are happy about that. We want to see that move. But when you're talking about a district of 3,700 students now, making that move from an F to an A, as Dr. Johnson pointed out, is not an overnight. It's not an overnight enterprise. It's incremental movements on a regular basis, and I think the progress that you've made is impressive over the last couple of years. I think for the taxpayers who look at this and say, and Mr. Smith is the one who said this first. I know it's not academics or buildings; it's academics and buildings. We need both from the standpoint of if we don't have new buildings. We've got the newest building was built in 1972. We have hundreds of students walking through each one of those buildings on a daily basis. They were put together when this community was growing rapidly. The standards for buildings are much different today. The needs for education are much different today than they were back at those times. If we don't get new buildings, people who say we need to focus on academics and not buildings, we're going to wind up spending more and more dollars out of our operating budget to repair and replace equipment that breaks, that doesn't work, which means that we'll have less dollars for instructional programs, teachers, educational material, infrastructure that we need to educate the children of this community. So I just say, think about that. It's not academics or buildings, it's academics and buildings. And with the bond levy, I think we can continue to show progress on both.
Thank you, Mr. Birdie. Dr. Johnson?
Yes, Madam President, just a couple of things. I just wanted to thank all of our community partners who share in contributing to the success of our students here in the Winton Woods City School District. It's really encouraging to see that the community is so willing to give back. And one of the things I can remember as we came onto the board that people wanted us to more so engage the community, and I think that I see that happening more and more every time we have a new person join our team, and stronger communities build stronger schools. And so we really want to continue to encourage those people in the community who want to take part to contact our community engagement coordinator, Karina Denny, and let's make it happen. I mean, this is our home, this is our community, and we want it to be strong. Also, just to encourage the students, as this is kind of like you kind of get into the part where it's time for progress reports and like that, to just encourage them to continue to strive and to work hard, because hard work is the destination of success. So there's no easy way to become successful. So just to continue working, and as just to echo what Mr. Birdie said about the buildings, it's not just about buildings, it's about academics, and it's about building buildings that will help us to achieve the best academics. So we want both. I'm greedy. I want it all. And I want it all for our kids. I want it all for our school district. So those of you who want it all, right along with me, join us in our campaign, and also join us to become a community partner with us. So that's it.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Mrs. Coon?
And to our community members, the importance to know that the grades that we have right now are not our target goals. And we look at what we do well, where we want to improve. And I think that they should know that that's the work of the board and the administrators and the teachers and the students themselves to bring the grades up to where they want to be. And not just because we want to say we get an A on a report card, because it's not about that. It's about educating children and making them ready to go on to their next step. That's our goal. It's not an easy task. It's a difficult task, and it's always changing. But I want our community to know that that is the goal. It is one of the ministers here. We appreciate his many prayers for our wisdom and guidance. But he said it's a ministry, and that's what we do. It's a ministry to our community and to our children, and it's a powerful one that we do every day. But to our community to know that this is where we're starting, this is where we're moving up. The progress, I think, is important. But it has to go piggyback with new buildings. And the fact that that will precipitate and that will help then drive those results much quicker. I can't say it enough. It'll save the district money. It is all around the way that will be a catalyst that our district needs to propel it to the next level. There's going to be community conversations that I want to invite our communities to engage in. And I hope people feel free and comfortable to come in. They're in our buildings. They can see firsthand what's going on. Tomorrow, I think it's Green Hills. Wednesday is Forest Park, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. And then Thursday is Springfield Township. Each of our communities has to be engaged. We have to get the feedback from our communities, from our leadership. Council in Green Hills, the Forest Park Councils, the Springfield Township trustees have to work in tangent. We're bringing in more partners. Mr. Cleary mentioned our partnership with businesses and with local community groups and with local churches. Those are all key points. We've got a solid foundation, so I want to encourage. I've lost all of our people that were here that I want to tell this to. So you'll have to go home and tell everybody. Or videotape it and show it later, right? They can watch on Waycross. But they have to get the word out. We need your vote. The students need your vote. And I'll stop before I continue on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kuhn. I just wanted to reiterate and encourage our communities to come out for the community conversations that Mrs. Kuhn just mentioned. Every resident of our district should have received a postcard with this information to these community forums, which shows you our dedication to community engagement. We want you there, so please come. Please engage with us, ask your questions. And I just wanted to say, too, that, you know, the community conversations are regarding the bond issue. That will be issue 50 on your ballots this fall. But it's important for you to come and ask your questions and figure out why this is truly in your best interest as a property owner here in our district, because it really is the most fiscally responsible option you have before you. So, like Paula said, the Green Hills is tomorrow evening, Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. at the Winton Woods Middle School on Farragut. The Wednesday edition for Forest Park is at the Forest Park Senior Center, also 6:30 p.m. And then Springfield Township will be held this Thursday, also 6:30 p.m. at our Winton Woods Primary South location on Lake Ridge. So please come out to engage with our district leaders, ask us your questions, find out why this is truly the best option. And also, this weekend is homecoming weekend, so just as a little point of warrior pride, please join us at our parade this Friday that begins at the intermediate school on Waycross Road. At about 6 p.m., and then we'll end shortly after that at the high school, just in time for the football game. So please come out and show your warrior pride. Mr. Superintendent, do you have anything you'd like to add to our comments this evening?
No comments, Madam President.
All right. And Mr. Seymour, anything from you?
No, thank you.
All right. All right, we already heard from our Winton Woods Teacher Association representative, Mr. Schultz. I do not see anyone in the audience from OPSI. There is a need to go into executive session this evening, so can I entertain a motion for that?
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of personnel matters.
I'll second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you please call that vote? And, before you do, we will not be returning. So for the purposes of Waycross, you are free to leave tonight. Thank you very much for being here and being an awesome partner of our school district. And thank you, everyone else, for coming tonight. We appreciate your attendance. Now, Mr. Seymour.
Mr. Birdie?
Aye.
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye.
Mrs. Ruggless?
Aye.
Mrs. Miranda?
Aye. Motion passed unanimously, and we will now move into executive session. Thank you. Okay, yeah, go ahead. If anyone needs a bathroom break, please feel free.